My fellow film people may end up hating me for this one. Okay, so first, what are we talking about? It's this little guy right here. This is a diffusion filter. More specifically, this is the K&F Concept Black Diffusion filter. These go by a lot of different names, folks. It's nothing new in terms of photography, or especially videography and cinematography. But this is new to me. I was doing I think it was the last tripod review from K&F. And I was on their website and I just happened to see this filter floating around there. I'm like, oh, that looks pretty cool. I did some research on it. I'm like, I'd like to try that out. They sent me one, and here we are. But back to what I was saying, I didn't get this filter to directly imitate the look of film. And like I said, I was talking to a buddy of mine, trying to describe to him what this filter did. And I was at a loss. The best I could come up with was I wanted my digital images to look less digital, if that makes any sense. And that is exactly what it does. I'm going to try to keep this review in about 10 minutes, a little bit shorter than usual. So at this point, you're going to know if I've made the mark or not. Okay, so let's get rolling. K&F Concept Black Diffusion Filter. Again, nothing new. There's a lot of other companies who make these. Tiffin, Hoya, I know, are two. I think Nisi makes them as well. I'll put them down there in the comments if you want to compare these. Plus it helps my affiliate sales. It's a greasy business, folks. This is their 77mm circular filter, if you can't figure that out already. Now, diffusion filters go by a lot of different names. They all do about the same thing, and that is soften up your images. Again, in my opinion, what I've come to call it, it makes your digital images look, and your video look less digital. It is full of these little tiny specks. Maybe you can see, you probably can't see, but I'll pop some pictures up on the screen here for you. Those little specks, it looks like a really dirty filter, and that is going to diffuse the light coming in. It really makes the highlights look a lot less harsh, lowers the contrast, actually lowers the sharpness just a little bit depending on the density of the filter or the strength of the diffusion of the filter. And it can result in some very aesthetic images, which I happen to like. The housing of the filter is made from an aluminum. K&F calls it aviation aluminum. I've always known it as aircraft grade aluminum. The optics are going to be made out of a very ambiguous optical glass, according to K&F Concept. No idea what kind of glass it is. It seems pretty mustard, no problems, and we'll talk about the image quality here in just a second. The element itself is covered with what is known as an MRC, that is a multi-resistant coating. Essentially, it helps with repelling water. It helps your fingerprints, the grease from your fingerprints, not smudge it as easy. It helps with scratch resistance, and lets dust kind of set on top of the filter where it's really easy to blow off. And supposedly it helps with the glare and all that kind of optical stuff, which with this kind of filter, it's kind of hard to tell. Just going around the outside, like I said, there's not a lot to talk about here, folks. It's a standard fare. Again, 77mm. It has two areas of little serrations here. Now, I've been debating whether or not I would have liked to have seen these little grippy serrations go all the way around. If you notice, they have the designation of the filter written right here on the circumference, on the edges, the perimeter of the filter. I think if you moved those letters to the front, how a lot of other filters that I use actually have it written, I think you could probably put that serration all the way around here, add some more grip, maybe reduce the weight just a little bit. But honestly, the more I've used it, I haven't had any trouble getting on and off of my lens, so it's something I can live with. And speaking of the weight, this thing weighed in on my scales at 26 grams. That's just under an ounce. Very light. Again, it's aluminum, not brass. I actually do prefer brass because it's non-galling. But with this sort of filter at this price point, again, that's something I can live with. Okay, that is enough talking about the actual body of the filter itself. Let's really quick, and I mean really quick, head over and look at the sample images that I made here, folks. The reason I'm going to kind of burn through these more so than I do with some other review image samples is because once you see a single image of this, you're going to instantly get the gist of what this black diffusion filter does. We're going to take a look at those, and then we'll come back and we're going to wrap this up, giving you my final thoughts on this little filter here. Well, here we are back in a familiar little spot inside of Lightroom. I've got a cute little collection here of a handful of images made with that K&F Concept Black Diffusion filter. It is a, if you want to get technical, it is a 1/4 Black Diffusion filter. They vary all over. 1/4 is less than 1/2, and then 1/8 is less than 1/4. And if I'm not mistaken, there's a few in between, above and below 1/8 and 1/2. But as far as I know, K&F Concept, they only carry the 1/4. So that's what you're looking at here when you look at these images. And speaking of, this is the literally the very first picture I took with that diffusion filter. This is what really got the hooks in me, folks. I had just opened it up literally right out of the box. Put this on the A7R3, snap this. Man, literally like something out of a dream. Look how soft that is, making those highlights really diffuse. This was shot wide open. Speaking of, if you look here at the top left on all these images, you can see the settings. But this was shot with the Sigma 24mm art f1.4 at f1.4. So wide open, really soft. I fired one off without the filter to kind of give a baseline. Man, this is one of those things, you either love it or you don't. Or maybe you kind of like it. You want to date it for a while and then kind of see where it goes instead of just completely stonewalling them. But for me, and this has really nothing to do with film, not completely to do with film at all, but just the way it makes that look, I don't know. That is something, that's an aesthetic that I absolutely love. And you can see that it's of course made it less sharp, but there is still a lot of sharpness, especially around the center here, even though the contrast has been greatly reduced. Yeah, so that was the first one. Literally, I had this thing ever how long it takes you to open a box, which the USPS tried to destroy, by the way. Moving on, this was made f4. This is with the Sony Zeiss Vario Tessar 24 to 70mm. We're looking at what did I say, f4. So yeah, this is wide open on that lens. This is with the filter, shooting into the sun, and that is without. You can check out the sharpness on this piece of grass. Excellent little lens, by the way. You can see little specks of dew there. And that's without the filter, and this is with, let's find our focus point. And you can still see little strands of tiny, tiny spider web here. So it's very strange. It's unique because it does indeed soften the image, but it gives you that soft sharp that actually a lot of landscape photographers are kind of, at least contemporarily, are prizing at the moment. I would be very interested to shoot some really wide scale landscapes with this little filter. Kind of off the cuff, early morning light this morning. Never waste the light. Now, something I have heard about these, of course there's no color cast that I've been able to see with this particular filter, but again, it is hard to discern because you're essentially diffusing the light rays coming in. Come back out. There we go. You're diffusing the light rays coming in, and especially during golden hour, it's spreading that out more across the frame so it can give the illusion that it is getting warmer, and indeed it may be, but I don't think that's anything inherently problematic with the optics of the filter. I think that is just what the filter does. Here is without the filter. Back up a little bit. This is without the filter. That is with the filter. Love it. Absolutely love it. Same little area here, a little bit wider and a lower perspective. This is with that filter. This is at f8. If you like starburst, guys, if you like sunburst, when you get in those smaller apertures, especially for your landscapes, you're probably not going to want to have this filter on there. You can see it even at f8. This is without the filter now. You're getting that starburst effect coming in through those trees. You put the filter on, that's completely softened out. It gives that sense of the halation. That's one of the reasons why I really wanted to try this filter out. Halations in film give you this very glowing halo around some point light sources, especially in night photography with street lights, that sort of thing. And this is really getting close. Yeah, speaking of lights, the filter, you can use it in studio. I've tried to include a few of those type of images. I had to come in the other night because, like now, I can't be out in my studio without dying a little bit. It's just so hot out there right now, this time of year in Tennessee. But this is without the filter. These are 24, I think 24-inch square soft boxes. I've took the actual diffusers themselves off the lights to give you a better sense of how the bulbs will look with the filter. This is without the filter. Throw the filter on there and you have these instant halos. Give you a better look. This is at f4, wide open again on that 24 to 70. This is at 29 millimeters. That is with the filter. That is without the filter. Going to do you kind of like an eye exam here. Without the filter, with the filter. Big difference. Let's actually go to a side-by-side view here. This is a side-by-side comparison of those two bulbs. One with the filter on the right, one without the filter on the left. Depending on the type of portraits that you prefer doing, if you like the very pictorial, the very surreal type portraits, yeah, I could 100% see me or you enjoying the black diffusion filter. In fact, the very reason for this exercise was I had a little wild hair one night, and I decided to recreate the famous Joseph Karsh Hemingway portrait, such as it is. This, and actually, if you want to see what it looks like, I'll show you at the end. This was made without the filter. You see here all the blemishes on my own skin. This is a self-portrait, of course. You see the blemishes on the skin. It looks very harsh, hard light. Again, I had the diffusers off the soft boxes. When I put the filter on there, really softens out that skin tone quite a bit in camera. This is without any kind of post-processing at all. These are all raw files. And you can see it just gives that nice diffuse, soft light to the light itself, coming from the soft boxes undiffused. And again, this is, I ended up actually going with the pose here. This is the finished product. This actually is without the picture, without the filter. If I had got this look, I was aiming for that original Hemingway pose, kind of looking off camera slightly, I probably would have went with the filter. I just like how it looks as far as the optics are concerned. But this is what we went with. So yeah, guys, like I said, a little bit shorter, a little more brief in terms of examining the images from this filter. But like I said, honestly, this first set here, that tells you all you need to know. So let's wrap this thing up. Here we are back, folks. I hope you got something from those sample images. Like I said, a very specific filter, especially if you're shooting still images. Now, if you're doing a lot of videography, a lot of cinematography, this one may come in handy a little bit more so than, like I said, still photographers, just because it does soften out your footage. It makes it look a little bit more natural. Again, less digital from what I've been calling it. So yeah, if you're like me, if you do shoot a lot of film, I think you're really going to appreciate this little guy quite a bit. Now, as far as price and some of the options, this is available, I think, from 49mm all the way up to the common filter sizes, filter thread sizes, to 82mm. Depending on the size of the filter, it's going to vary just under $40 US to just under $80 US at the time of this review. And what day is this? Yeah, it's June. Yeah, this is July of 2021. So just under 40 on the small side, and then just under 80 on the really big 82mm. This is 77mm, and I think this one costs like $59 or something US. So pretty affordable. Oh, and something I should mention here, the filter comes with this snazzy little hard case. I always talk about how K&F Concept, their filter cases are always evolving, and this is no different. It's like something out of Atlantis. Ooh, yeah, speaking of snazzy, where the fuck is it? When they sent me the black diffusion filter, they also sent me this. Yeah, this is K&F Concept's brand new Nano X2 variable ND filter. I think this is an N2 to N400. So it's like 1 stop to just under 9 stops, variable neutral density filter. Man, guys, this may be the best thing I've ever handled from K&F. Really impressed. I'm going to finish up. I've got everything virtually done with this one. I'm going to finish up the review. Hopefully should have this posted up in the next few days as well. So keep an eye out. That's going to be it for me, everybody. I am Adam Welch. Thank you so much for joining me. Again, everything that you do to support the channel, which translates to supporting me, I really appreciate it. If you want to check out Camera Jockey Clothiers, that's my biggest project that I have going on here, to try to dump some of the ads and the affiliate links for my videos. Weird stuff over there, guys. Weird stuff for photographers over at Spring. That is down there in the description as well. That's all I got. Yeah, and as you know, I have a very, very, very difficult time ending these videos.